All right, so good evening, Sharai. Thanks for being here. I think I'm going to start this class with you. First, I have a couple of questions, Sharai. I don't know if you were able to watch Friday's class to know more or less where you are, and we can, well, continue from that part.
Sorry, teacher, I couldn't see the Friday class, but today I will going to see the.
Okay, very good, Sharai. It's good to know because you know what I explained on Friday, it's something we're going to do again today because these are like the last details so that you have the elements you need to have to work on the final details for your essay. You know that you still have until 11:59 p.m. to upload your essays, right? So you still have some hours. So after this class, I would like you to recheck your essay and be sure that you have everything that you need. All right. And also for you, Luciana, we're going to be working on these details. And after this class, be sure that you can check your essay so that you are following all the criteria and everything you need to know. Okay.
Okay, thank you, teacher.
Good. Very good. So again, just in case, I'm going to remind you what you need to do for today. Today is the last class. So first, I have only one person, all right, who's turned in these in-class assigned activities. Of course, I'm not going to show that one, but remember that you have to upload your vocabulary with the 9 words, and you have to copy and paste the link in which you show me this, right? Some of you were here setting commas where they were supposed to be, coloring things, marking the different tips that we were talking about, etc. Right? So this is the link I need for this specific in-class activity, right? So please remember to do that. Only the 9 words as always with the definition and also the a link of the in-class activities that we have. That's it. And again, a reminder, I said this on Friday. I'm sure that you're all going to watch the video, but remember, one thing that you should remember is this time it's a 400 words, right? It's a 400 words essay. You know that you can have 5 more words or 5 less words or fewer words. It's not going to affect, but if you have 10 more or 10 fewer, it's going to start affecting a little bit, not that much, because this time I think it's only 10 points, 15 as maximum. But and the last thing I'm going to mention, we already read this, all right? We've already read this information, so I'm not going to do that again. But remember that spelling is going to be evaluated over 10 points, punctuation over 20, transitional words and phrases over 20. The essay structure, please don't forget this one. This is what some of you forgot, is introduction, 3 steps, right? So 3 different colors. 2 body paragraphs with 5 different steps. So you need 2 body paragraphs, right? 5 different colors for the first body paragraph and 5 different colors for the second body paragraph. And finally, the conclusion, 3 different steps. So 3 different colors, right? So don't forget that. I explained that as short as I can. And this is the most important part, I think, for this final essay, tips. Okay, we're going to be following all the tips and we're going to remember what we need to do very briefly. And number of words, right? As I told you, it's only 10 points, but it's good that you can have these 10 points if you follow the 400 words. That's it. All right, that's it in terms of reminding you what you need to do for today at 11:59 p.m. It's important that if you have any question, please let me know, Sharayi, Luciana, Melissa. If everything is clear, I think we can go again to the lesson and we can keep practicing because you were not able to be on Friday. So it's important that we can see this together so that you know, right, what you need to do to get the 100 points on the essay. So the first thing, again, if you have any questions, you can interrupt me. You can raise your hand, turn on your microphone, and let me know what your question or your doubt is. Okay, I'm going to continue. So, as I did on Friday, I don't know if you were able to watch the video, perhaps Luciana or Melissa. If you were not able to do it yet, Please, it's important that you can do it later on. But anyway, if I see that most of you were not able to watch the video, that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to be working with two presentations simultaneously, all right? The first one is going to be tips to improve writing skills, and the other one is going to be vocabulary. So, okay, let's go. But I'm going to ask you first. I want to be sure who was able to do it. So, for example, you, Luciana, were you able to watch Friday's video or not yet?
Yes, teacher. I was in all the classes and I was like in the half of the Friday's one.
Okay, okay, good, good. Thank you. Melissa, what about you? Were you able to watch Friday's class or not yet?
Not yet, teacher. I will watch it after this one, and that's it. I will watch it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Later.
Great, thank you. And what about you, Whitney? Were you able to watch Friday's class?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, okay, good. So thank you, Whitney. So most of you were not able to watch that class, all right? So it's going to be important to try to work together. I'm not going to go as in detail, all right, as I explained that on Friday, but I don't want to leave you like that, all right, without that information, because I think it's important for you to ask me some questions related to this. So Whitney, you watched that video, but anyway, we're going to work on that again, Whitney. So if you have specific questions, you can ask me, but I'm going to explain the way I was doing it on Friday, not as in detail, but the most important information, all right? So again, anytime you can stop me and ask me a question or the questions that you have. So with you, with all of you, we got to see up to step 5, right? So a short summary, I'm not going to read again. It's going to be active voice, right? Please, you have to use active voice in your essays. If you have passive voice, that may affect a little bit the score, right? So try to use active voice, at least in this situation with persuasive essays and for this specific essay, all right? Active voice. It means, don't say, for example, a vaccine was created by Bolivia, right? Or in Bolivia. Instead, you may say, Bolivia created, right, a new vaccine. So it's better to use active. In the second part, literal and concrete language. I was explaining this in, please, Sharai and Melissa. It's going to be for you because with you, we were working the words. Do you remember these words? Sharai, Melissa, I'm going to show you. Sharai, I think you mentioned this one, right? Apocryphal. And Melissa, you were mentioning this one, right? Flabbergasted. So what do I need to say related to this is the following, all right? Just the following. These words are not considered as metaphors. These words are also not considered as, let's say, not concrete or not clear, all right? So in that sense, step 2 would be okay because we are using literal language and concrete language, all right? That language is not metaphorical. So in that sense, these words are not a mistake, but they can be a mistake in the sense I was explaining to Melissa, right? If you're going to use big words, be sure that you know how to use those words. If not, it's going to create confusion. And if you don't use those words in the right way, it's going to go straight to the point, right? And in that sense, you're going to be making a mistake on step 2 because you're not going to be literal. You're not going to say the things the way they are. You're going to be using words that you don't know how to use, and it's going to create confusion, all right? So just in that sense, it can be a mistake in step 2. But if you know how to use these big words, and if these big words are not used as metaphors, if these big words are not used as vague language, then it's okay for you to use them, all right? I just wanted to clarify that for you. Then we work that together as well. Be concise. You know, it's what we said, right? It's better not to have sentences longer than 2 lines. If you have a sentence longer than 2 lines, please try to divide the sentence in two parts. The first part to explain or to give descriptions, and the second part to say what you want to say without the longer description. That is the thing. We also covered that on Wednesday. Be careful with the placement of words, right? It's better if you have important information close to the subject and the verb, right? So in this case, the second one is the correct one. We also covered that. And finally, don't use abbreviations and don't use contractions, right? Abbreviations is a short way of saying something. For example, who remembers, all right, who remembers what is the abbreviation of street and avenue? Who can tell me that? Anybody? What do you say, Melissa? What is the abbreviation for street and what is the abbreviation for avenue?
ST for street and for avenue, I think, I'm not sure, maybe it's AVE or just AV?
It's okay, AV, AV, correct. Thank you, Melissa. So street, ST, avenue, right? AV. So don't use abbreviations. If you're going to say street, right? If you're going to say avenue, say avenue. Don't use abbreviations, okay? Those are abbreviations. And what contractions are is the following. Do not is not contracted, right? Don't, it's a contraction. So don't use contractions. It is, right? Not it's. This is a very important rule. So this can be avoided very easily, right? Just write the entire word. For example, when I was checking these once again, here, right? This was the last paragraph, and we didn't identify this the first time, but it says I'd like, right? What should we write to work with very formal writing? We cannot write I'd like. What should we do? What do you say, for example, Sharai? What is the word that we should write over here instead of that D with apostrophe?
And the other option is I would like to say.
Correct. Thank you very much, Sharai. So don't do this, all right? Again, it's perfect that you know how to contract, but you're going to be using that mainly in speaking, right? I'd like to say the following, but in writing, and mostly in writing is also correct, but in academic writing, in very formal writing, it's better if you don't use contractions. And again, I'm using information from colleges, from universities. These are advice, all right, that universities are giving us to work on application essays. So if you want to go to the United States, to the United Kingdom, if you want to apply for universities over there, even Australia, it's important that you may follow these instructions. And of course, it applies for tests, right? International tests. So let's not use contractions, right? And that's it. That's the last thing we covered. Now, again, because of time, we're not going to be able to see everything now in detail, but repetition, okay? Avoid repetition. So first, we don't have to say two ideas in the same way, right? Because that's going to be to repeat that idea. You can restate your idea. For example, the thesis statement has to be restated in the conclusion, right? But don't use the same words, don't use the same idea itself. Try to paraphrase, right? Use other words, use synonyms, and try to use even different verbs. And now we're going to be working with the other presentation, this one. So what you have to do here is go to the last part here. It starts here, all right? The last one is, we're going to cover this later on, but here, important synonyms. If you watch the video, you're going to see that, of course, I'm not reading all the examples, I'm not reading all the synonyms because I wanted to give you more information. And right now, it's even going to be like that, right? I'm not going to read everything. So I'm going to ask you actually to read some of these just a few, so that you know that when you are restating your ideas, right? Remember, we are on step 6. In order not to repeat your ideas in the same way, in order not to repeat words in the same way, you have to use synonyms, right? Similar vocabulary, similar expressions than the ones you are using on the first sentence. But this time for the second one has to be a little bit different. So on Friday, I was choosing the ones that I believe are the most important ones. And I'm going to try to do the same. We're going to try to read at least only 2 per slides, okay? Here, I think this is going to be really interesting, but, and begin, because you use this a lot and this a lot, all right? These 2. Please, Luciana, let's begin with you. Let's read but, and let's read all the synonyms that we have for that adjective, please, Luciana. But. Are you there, Luciana? Let me know, please. This is going to be the one. If not, please, let's go to the next one. It's going to be for you with me. Let's read bad and the synonyms, please.
Okay, bad, evil, spoiled, imperfect, infamous, dismal.
Thank you very much. So let's try to check a little bit. It's going to be like evil, right? Evil, spoiled, good, imperfect, infamous, and dismal. So these are some words that we can use to replace the word bad. For example, it's very common that you say, and because the education is very bad, right? We have to do this and that. So in most of the cases, you're going to use it's imperfect, right? It's imperfect. It's going to be like the direct synonym. But in other cases, you can say, but people are bad in society. So you can say they are evil. So it depends on the context, right? Which adjective, which synonym is going to be the best, depends on the context. The other one, this is very common. This is really interesting. Begin. It's going to be similar to start. Please, this is going to be for you. Mariana, are you there, Mariana? All right, if not, let's go up again, and I'm going to go with you, please, Melissa. Begin. Let's read begin and the synonyms, please.
Okay, begin. Initiate, commence, inaugurate.
Thank you very much. So this is going to be more like commence, right? Commence and inaugurate, right? Remember that au is almost going to be as o, so inaugurate. Good. So this is really interesting, and this is a word that I recommend a lot. Commence. Commence is the most formal way of saying begin or start. For example, to start your paragraph, your first body paragraph, instead of saying to begin with or to start, you can simply say to commence. And that's going to be very, very formal, all right, to initiate. So again, I'm giving you this because you need to restate certain things. You need to repeat certain words. Don't use the same idea with the same words, right? Use different words. So these are 2 that are very important. Let's go to the next one. Again, because of time, we're going to work only 2. And you can read a little bit more, of course, in the document. And on Friday class, you're going to see a little more words. So this time, we're going to read, over here. Let's choose 2 over here. It's hard because they are important words, but it doesn't matter. This one is going to be, and this one. I think these are, all right, among all of those words, the ones you can use in your essays. Sharai, please, let's read both. Let's read come, the synonyms, and describe and the synonyms, please.
Okay. Come, approach, arrive. Describe, portray, characterize.
Thank you very much. Yes, this is going to be characterize, right? Characterize. You have two options. If it's with S, it's British English. If it's with Z, it's American English. All right. I got this information from a British webpage. So that's why it's with S. But if you write it with Z, it's going to be okay because that's American English. Okay. Both are okay. So good. Come. I think the best thing that you can use is approach, right? To approach something. This is a really good word. It's a nice word in English. You can use this word a lot. Describe. This is interesting also. Both words are great. Portray and characterize, right? To characterize something, to portray something. And these are synonyms. So instead of describe, you may say portray or characterize the second time. Okay, that's the reason why I'm giving you this vocabulary, so that you can use different words for the second time you're going to mention the same idea. Over here, we're going to pay attention to these words. Difference we see because we always make work with contrast, right, between ideas in essays. So that one is really interesting. And of course, I'm between two, but let's read actually this one. Explain. All right, because again, it's a very common verb that we can use. This time, I want to know if you are there. Luciana, are you there?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, good. Let's read both, please, Luciana. Difference and explain with the synonyms, please.
Difference. Disagreement, inequity, dissimilarity. Explain, elaborate, interpret.
Thank you very much, Luciana. So inequity, right? So difference. This is a noun. This in this case, all right. So there is a difference between this method and this method. There is some dissimilarity between this and that. Inequity, disagreement, right? So it's really interesting that you can start using these synonyms. Explain, right? To explain something is to elaborate something. Mainly, this is going to be the case. In some other exceptions, you can use to interpret, but of course, it's going to depend because to explain something is to interpret something. But it depends, right? Not always. Sometimes we want to avoid working with interpretation when we explain because we want to be objective. So to interpret can be subjective. So sometimes it's not going to be the synonym. But in most of the cases, you can use both, elaborate and interpret. That's it. Again, take a look at this list, please, because it's going to be important that you use synonyms, because if you repeat the same word once, it means that you are not following this step. And it's going to be taken into account as if you are not following the step 6, which is repetition, right? And again, if you're not following one step, that's on the criteria, right? And that may affect the score. So it's important that you check your essays today, again, before uploading them, and be sure that you're not using, for example, get 2 times. If you're using get and you're using get once again, then you're repeating, all right? I want you to use different verbs, please. That's the purpose of showing you this. If it's a very interesting word and that word doesn't have many synonyms, I'm going to take that into account and I'm not going to reduce, right, the score that you have. But for example, if you have to use get, and actually I'm going to make you read this, get has a lot of possible synonyms, and it depends also on the context. So if you use get 2 times, it's going to be because you are like making a mistake in terms of repetition, because get has a lot of meanings, all right? But again, if it's a hard word, I'm not going to take that into account. For example, this is going to be the other one. No, actually this one, but I'm going to mention this as an example. If you are using have and you used have more than 3 times, of course, you don't have a lot of synonyms for have. So I'm not going to tell you that it's a mistake because you're not using more synonyms, all right? Because there are not a lot of synonyms for have. Of course, it can mean something different. And if it means something different, it's better if you use the right word. Okay, I'm going to write something for you as an example, but in the meantime, please, with me, let's read both. It's a lot. Get and good and the synonyms, please, with me.
Okay, get, acquire, obtain, secure, procure, and gather. Good, excellent, fine, wonderful, superior, gracious, superb, splendid, genuine, sterling, top notch.
Thank you very much, Whitney. Good, right? Just we're going to be careful with this one. It's going to be gather. And I think the rest of it was okay, right? Genuine. Good. So you know that instead of get, this is, I was explaining on the last video, the primary meaning. Okay, this is not what get could mean in other cases. This is the primary meaning of get. Acquire, obtain, secure, procure, and gather, right? And of course, these are not exact synonyms of good, but if you want to say something positive about an object or a person, you can use these adjectives, right? It's a good idea to do it. We're not going to read, but please take into account the words that you have here. Have, it's a very interesting word. Help, it's also very, very important. Just because of that, I'm going to read it. Aid, assist, support, encourage, relieve. All right? You use help a lot in essays. So try to use those synonyms. If you used help once, don't use it twice, right? Once is more than enough. We're going to work on exercises, and I'm going to ask you something. This is going to be speaking mainly this time. Here, this word is used a lot in essays, and you know that's important, right? We use that a lot. And I think that's the most common one. This one as well. These two, because we tend to use these two. This is going to be for you, Melissa, please. Both words, important and make, with the synonyms, please.
Okay, important, necessary, vital, critical, indispensable, valuable, essential, famous, notable. And make, create, originate, invent, construct, manufacture, produce, and compose.
Thank you very much, Melissa. So again, the idea is the same. Now, a very interesting advice for you if you're going to take the TOEFL again, or the Cambridge, or any international test, don't use the words you have here. Don't say make, don't say important, okay? Don't say have, don't say get, okay? Don't say these words, important, interesting, little, look, love, make, move, etc., etc. Why? Because if they are here, it's because these are the most common words that people use when they write essays. And one thing that is evaluated in international tests is the use of vocabulary. Again, if you use important words, right? I'm using that word, important words. Try to use them correctly, right? Properly. And if you know these synonyms, you're going to be able to write an entire essay without saying the word important. And you're going to say it's vital, it's critical, right? It's essential. These words are great, these three, all right? Critical, vital, and essential. In certain cases, necessary can be all right. In certain cases, notable can be all right, right? In some other cases, valuable. But in most of the cases, vital, critical, and essential are going to be the best options to choose. Also here, if you're talking about machinery, you're talking about industry, say manufacture, right? Don't say make clothes, make machines, no. To manufacture, to produce, to construct, right? That's going to help a lot. It's better, right? And it shows that you know words and that you know how to use those words. But again, in this essay, I'm not going to, let's say, mark this as a mistake if you write important, but it's going to be a mistake if you write important 2 times. Okay, if you write make 2 times, if you write any of these words 2 times, it's going to be considered a mistake. Okay, so that's why I'm showing you this. And finally, I think we have one more or a couple more. No, it's the last one. Over here, we don't have a lot of options here, but we have one that is very important and this other one as well. Please, this is going to be for you. I want to be sure. Mariana, are you there, Mariana? All right, then I'm going to go up again and I'm going to work with you, please. Sharai, let's read these 2 verbs in this case and the synonyms, please.
Okay. Tell, disclose, reveal, expose, narrate, inform, divulge. Use, employ, utilize, I don't know, exhaust, spend.
Thank you very much. Utilize, right? Utilize. Again, if it's with S, British. If it's with Z, American. All right. Tell, you use tell a lot. You use tell, say, and use. All right, the way I was doing it. So reveal could be interesting, expose, narrate, divulge, right? And use, employ. This is a great word. Utilize, also it's great. This one not that much, but I'm not going to mark it. Spend, depends, right? To spend something is to use. For example, to use time is to spend time, right? So these words are not that common. Employ and utilize. Those are going to be great. So that's it, okay? This is repetition. Please don't use one word more than once, okay? And with word I mean adjectives. For example, important is an adjective. Don't use an adjective 2 times. Use different adjectives. Tell is a verb. Don't use the same verb every time, right? Use something different. And for example, different is a noun. Use different nouns, all right? So I'm talking about adjectives, verbs, and nouns, okay? Don't repeat those words. You have a list over here, and if it's not on the list, because this is the list of common words, try to do some research. It's going to take you 5 seconds, right? Write the word and write synonym, and you're going to get a list of synonyms for that word. If you want to be sure that it's okay, you can write, if you want, all right, you can write the example in English in the translator and see if the translation makes sense. If it's okay, then it's good. If it sounds weird, then try to use a different synonym, because you know some synonyms work for certain context, other synonyms don't. Okay, that one. So with that one, I'm finishing step 6. Okay, this is step 6. Avoid repetition. That's very important, please. Again, you have to tell me the same idea more than twice. So be sure to use different words. That's step 6. Now, I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to start with you. All right, Melissa, these are going to be simple, very simple examples, but I want you to tell me what other word would you use with these very, very common verbs. So, Melissa, if in my essay I'm saying something like, many companies are getting new products every month, all right? New companies or companies are getting products every month or new products every month, Melissa. Getting, it's very common. It's too common that it's informal. What word can I use instead of getting in that situation, Melissa? What do you say?
I don't know if it's the correct word or pronunciation, but acquire or something like that.
Good. Acquiring could be. Sometimes acquire can be too strong, but yes, it works. All right. perhaps you have to change the tense, because acquire is mostly used as a non-action verb. You can say acquiring, it's also valid, but in most of the cases, you're going to use acquire in the simple tense. Good, that's correct, acquire. What other thing comes to your mind, Melissa, also for you? Is there any other verb that you can use instead of getting in that situation? Acquire is a good option. What other one comes to your mind?
Ordering, or I don't know, placing an order of new product.
Okay, good. Ordering, great. Because when we're talking about get, we're talking about, right, to make something ours, to obtain, right? Obtaining could be, yes. Let's go there. Again, acquire, because of the sense of the word, is mainly used for simple tenses, all right? But it's possible, acquire, obtaining, these other ones are not. But remember that get, it's also synonym of buy, yeah, right? To buy something. So if you believe in your context, buy new products works, then use that word, right? So new companies are buying new products every month, or obtaining, acquiring, right? But again, simple tense could be a good change over there. Great, thank you, Melissa. Now, this is going to be for you. I want to know if you know some synonyms or some other expressions. And let's say with you, yes, with me. What can I say in this case, right? The CEO of the company said the following: we are not going to do that anymore. All right, so the CEO of the company said the following, right? Colon, quotations, right? We're not going to do that anymore. What verb can we use instead of say or said in this case?
Explain.
Okay, good, very good. That's a great option. Explain. Any other verb? At least one more, please, with me. Any other word that we can use instead of explain over there?
Teach us, or give us instruction.
Okay, gave us the following instruction. Could be instruction is too strong, right? Because if you see, the idea is we are not going to do that anymore. So it's not an instruction. Something similar to explain, what could it be? One more idea. What do you say with me? Because instruction is too strong for that case.
Explain us the rules of the company.
Okay, but we're also still using explain, right? So explain is the main verb. We're using explain to replace say, and that's correct, right? That's correct. So we have one, explain. Thank you, Whitney. Explain. I'm going to stay with that one. I'm going to go to you now, Sharai. What other verb do you think that we can use instead of explain? Because we're saying, right, the CEO of the company said that. Now, Whitney said a very interesting word, which is explain, right? The CEO explained that, so it works perfectly. What other verb can you use, Sharai, to replace those two possibilities? Said and explained.
I think it's a better option, expose.
Okay, good. Good. To expose an idea, to expose something, it's correct. Great. Thank you, Sharai. Expose. And also, if we want to know a little bit more, we can go here. We can say perhaps reveal, expose, inform, right? Divulge. Or you have other ones. Instead of say, we can say state, right? State, declare, right? Remember those words. And if you check this, it's over here. If you go to the, well, this is, yes, these are the body paragraphs. Over here. I'm not finding it. Over here, right? So actually you can use all these synonyms. Of course, they don't mean the same. That's why we have to be careful, right? But if the case allows us to use these words, let's use them, right? Believes, perhaps not, because he's not believing, he's saying, right, we are not going to do that anymore. Claim, that's a great option, right? The CEO claimed that, right, or claimed the following, right? Declares, describes, perhaps not, explain, indicates, it's also a good idea. Propose, not in this case, right? So in some cases, some words are okay, in other cases, they are not. And finally, all right, one more. This is going to be for you, Luciana. Luciana, in this sentence, all right, the institute has, all right, the institute has a lot of branches. All right, the institute has a lot of branches. What verb or what word can you use to replace the verb has? What do you say, Luciana? The institute has a lot of branches. What is a synonym of has?
It's a verb past, right?
Has. How do we replace has? What is a synonym of that verb?
I think that maybe it could be the institute probably a lot of branches.
Okay, provides could be, but to provide something, right? It's in certain contexts, right? It can work, but it's more like giving instead of having something, right? So it could work. In certain cases, to provide something could work. It's acceptable. What other word comes to your mind, Lucian, besides that one?
I'm not sure, teacher. I'm not sure.
Okay, it's okay. I'm going then back to you, Melissa. What do you say? What are some synonyms that we can use to replace has in that idea?
I'm not sure. Can you read the whole sentence so I can try to think what would sound better?
Okay, perfect. Yes, the idea is the following. The institute has a lot of branches, let's say. All right, the idea is over there. The institute has a lot of branches. That's more or less the idea.
It would be the institute is, I don't know if it's the correct word, but it's composed by 4 branches, or the institute the institute is formed by 4 branches.
Okay, good, good. What you're doing is really interesting, Melissa. Thank you. And it's correct. We can say the institute is composed, right? It's formed by a lot of branches. It's correct. All right. It's one way, and it's one interesting way, because you are not only replacing the verb, right? You're actually using an expression that is different to only one verb, because you are using the verb to be and you're using an adjective. All right, so you're doing something different, but works. It works very, very well, and I agree with you. That's possible. But in the case that we don't know that, and we only have to replace the verb, we can use to own or to possess, right? Those could be some options. But again, the ones you mentioned, Melissa, were great, because that's a different approach, but it works great. All right, it works very good. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, and also I'm going to show you some other options, right? To possess or to own. Acquire is more active, right? As provide. To provide something, it's okay, but it's a little bit more active. So if we want to keep the idea of passive, to have something can be passive or active. In this case, it's passive. So the institute possesses, right? Possesses or owns. Remember, ES over here, possesses, because you have to do that when you're checking your essays. And if you see that you're using have too many times, please let me know if you can hear me. I think the internet is not working very good. If you cannot hear me, let me know. All right. But again, I'm going back. If you see that you're using have, again, have, don't do it because it's going to be considered a mistake. All right. In this essay, try to use different words: possess, own. And if you don't have more words, you can do what Melissa did. You can change the expression, and you have the chance of explaining that idea of possession with a different expression, right? Not only with a verb, but it can be a mixture of a verb, an adjective, preposition. So you have a lot of options. Okay, I'm spending a lot of time here because actually this is one of the most important things you have to do in your essays. Over here, for example, what we should do is try to look for synonyms related to knowledge, right? Related to skills, because we're repeating this word a lot. Related to solutions could be, right? Because we have synonyms for solutions. And if we are using subjects, let's try to use a different word than subject. If we don't have many options, then you can use subject more than once. But if we have a lot of synonyms, let's try to use different synonyms and not only one. Okay, just that one. And the only part that I also want to cover here in this class, because I think it's important, and I'm going to show you the other ones actually. Step 6, very important. Step 7, this is also going to be very important, but I'm going to leave this, all right? Because I want to show you that the next are only few and little things that you need to know. Remember, no punctuation marks outside the quotations. I just want you to read this, please, to be sure how it is done. And it's going to be for you, Whitney. Let's read, please, step 8.
Okay, no punctuation marks outside of quotations. Technically, all punctuation marks have to be written inside the quotes, commas, semicolons, colons, periods, exclamations, and question marks. Example, what a wonderful day. She said that, he said, I am okay, but we know he was lying.
Thank you very much, Whitney. Good. So this is going to be quote, right? The quotes, quotation marks, quotes, very good. So as you can see, if you have quotation marks, write the exclamation marks inside. Write the periods inside. Write the commas inside, because if you're mentioning something, but not everything, and you're going to continue the idea over here, use comma, but use the comma inside the quotes or the quotation marks and continue your idea. In most of the cases, you're going to finish your idea. So you're going to use period and then capital letter, right? But if you're going to do something like this, be sure that the comma, the semicolon, or everything you mention is here, all right, inside the quotes. Just that one. That is step 8. And step 9, I told you on the video, I'm not going to take this into account, but just be careful in your essays. If you want to give a really interesting, catchy phrase, don't exaggerate, all right? Don't tell information that is not true. Don't make numbers that are too big just because you want to catch, right, the reader's attention, because it's going to be sometimes obvious or noticeable. And again, I'm not checking this, all right? This is not going to be evaluated, but this is for you in the future because you're going to be writing essays for universities in case you want to study abroad, even taking online courses. If you want to take online courses in Cambridge or any other university, even Harvard, I don't know, you have to be sure, right, that you know how to write essays, application essays. So exaggerating is something that they advise us not to do. And that's it, all right, in step 9. Now, what I want to work with you is this, step 7. And we're going to spend the last minutes that we have working on step 7. If you have a specific questions related to your essays, please, you're going to try to let me know as soon as we finish with this step. If everything is clear, we finish with step 7, and then we finish with the class, okay? Then, you're going to help me with this. In this time, please, Luciana, I'm going to you once again, and let's read this part, please, Luciana, everything that is on that square.
Always try to put statements in positive form. Do not put them in negative form. This will make your language seem stronger as opposed to non-committal and hesitating. If you use the word not, it must only be in cases of clear denial or antithesis. Take a look at these examples. I do not usually arrive late. I am usually on time.
Thank you, Luciana. The next part, please. It's a lot, so we're going to divide up to this part, even a little bit more, up to this part and also this. Please, that's going to be for you, Sharai. Let's read this information, please, until positive.
Okay. He did not think that going to the baseball game would be a good use of time. He thought that attending a baseball game would be a waste of time. In each sentence, the second sentence is stronger. In the second pair of sentences, the idea did not think is ambiguous, since since it implies that he was not thinking about the baseball game at all. Therefore, do not put in a negative form anything that can easily be written in the positive.
Thank you very much, Sharai. And finally, write everything that is left from negative up to the last part, please, Melissa. Negative up to sentence, please.
Okay, negative form ambiguity is one of the reasons that singular words exist to express negative phrases. Instead of not honest, we have dishonest. And instead of did not have much confidence in, we have distrusted. Dig your brain for similar words before committing to a non-committal sentence.
Thank you very much, Melissa. So again, and this is the reason why I'm giving you vocabulary also related to negative prefixes, all right? Because please, in this essay at least, a negative idea can only be in your thesis or antithesis, all right? But if not, the rest of the ideas, they need to be in positive form, all right? They have to be affirmative statements. So if you have negative statements in something that is not your thesis, then it's going to be considered as a mistake, all right? Unless you're using words that are very, very hard to change to negative without using negative sentence, then do it. But again, instead of writing, I don't usually arrive late, this is incorrect, okay? Don't say this on your essays or in your essays, sorry. It's better, and you have to say, I am usually on time, all right? So don't say this. This is the message over here. Don't use negative structures. Don't say, I do not, he does not, it is not, all right? Let's not do that. Instead, let's keep that affirmative. Here also, right? He did not think, that's negative. Don't do that, that's incorrect. So instead of saying that, right, a good use. So he did not think that going to the baseball game, right, would be a good use of time. Instead of saying that in negative, you can say he thought that attending, right, a baseball game would be a waste of time. So waste is negative, but you're not using a negative sentence. You're using a negative word. So that's what I'm asking you to do. In your essays, don't write negative statements. Okay, don't do it. Use negative words like waste, all right? And like, for example, dishonest. distrusted. And that's what we're going to learn in this list. Again, because of time, we're not going to read all the words. I was doing that on Friday, but right now, again, the most important ones, but use these words instead of using not, okay? The rule is do not use not, okay? Don't use not. Instead, use negative words. And we're going to learn negative words to finish with this unit and to finish with this course and everything, all right? We finish everything with this. This is the list. Let me first close that one. It's the same document. In the last part, you have the synonyms, right? But on the first one, you have the list of prefixes that give us negative, all right, ideas without using not. The first one is going to be the, all right? We're going to most read it as the, very. Let's read what it means, please. You're going to help me with this one with me. Let's read this part, please. All right, Whitney, are you there?
Sorry, teacher, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
let's read this one, please.
Okay, the is almost always used before a verb or a word formed from that verb. It means to reserve the verb's actions, as in they trade, they regulate, or they toxify. It can have other meaning besides making a verb negative. For example, it means down, in decline, decrease, and depression.
Thank you very much, Whitney. So again, the main usage for this prefix is to make the verb negative. It also has some other uses, right? Decline, decrease, depression, right? That's why it can be the or the. In this case, it's going to be depression. But in this case, it's going to be de, dehydrate, right? Deregulate, detoxify. So you can use that the to give me a negative idea instead of using negative sentences, all right? The important ones that I can mention over here are, for example, deactivate, decode, decompose, and deconstruct and decontaminate. Those are the ones that you can use, all right? And again, you can take a look at that list that you have by yourself so that you find the best options. Again, deactivate, decode, decommission, decompose, deconstruct, and decontaminate. Those are the important ones. Now with this, right, DIS, most of the time it's going to be read as this. This is for you this time. Please, Sharai, let's read what we have with this.
Okay, this can be used with verbs, nouns, adjectives, or adverbs. It also has other meanings besides making words negative.
Thank you, Sharai. And again, the other meanings are not from our concern right now, because the most important things we have to know here is the negative meaning. So the examples that I'm giving you are for negative meaning. For example, disagree, right? You can use this a lot. Instead of saying, right, but I do not agree with that author, don't say that. You may say, I disagree, right? Or there's a disagreement. Here you have some other interesting words. Disloyal, right? Disloyalty, right? And distrustful, perhaps, or distrust someone or something. Okay, so these are some options that you have for you, all right? For all of you not to use negative sentences, use these words instead. These words, this. Now we have, right, part of in, and ear, right? Most of the cases, they are going to be read as that, in, and ear. That one is going to be for you. It was for you. Then, Luciana, let's read this one, please, Luciana. In, and ear, please.
Okay, teacher. In, and ear. In, and ear are usually used for nouns, adjectives, or the adverse format from them. They all mean not.
Thank you very much. Not and the word, right? Again, we're reading like that because it's the way they are going to be read in words. And you know, these are the most common words, I think. The prefix, the most common prefix is a different one, but we use a lot of these in ear words in Spanish, right? Illegal, immature, impatient, imperfect, impossible, imprecise, right? Inaccurate, inadequate, inappropriate, right? Incomplete, indefinite, insecure, insufficient, right? Instead of saying that is not enough, don't say that. That is not enough. That's incorrect in this essay. You have to say that is insufficient, right? That is insufficient. And you have some other ones, right? Irrelevant, irreparable, irresistible, irresponsible, right? Irreversible, etc., etc. I think here you have at least 8, 9 words that you can use because they are very well known in Spanish because they are very similar, right, to Spanish. Most of them can be very similar to Spanish. So take that into account, all right? Don't say that is not illegal, that's not legal, sorry, right? That's going to be a mistake. You have to say that is illegal. And again, use those ones. Here we have nouns. Impatience, right? Nouns. These were adjectives to describe things or objects. Here you have nouns. It means to have them as subject of your idea or objects of your ideas. Okay, indiscretion, incoherence, right? And you have a lot of words, actually the same words that you have over here, but in the way of nouns. And that's it. Let's go with miss, right? It's going to be read as that. That one, please, Melissa, if you can hear me, he'll help me with this one, sorry.
Okay, miss. Miss is from Old English, or in some words from French. It's used with verbs and adjectives and adverbs made from them, as well as nouns. It means bad, wrong, or wrongly.
Thank you very much, Melissa. This is very, very special because it's not only not, okay? The meaning of, let me do this, all right? The meaning of this in here is like not, all right? Not responsible, not accurate. It's only not. The meaning of this is also like not, okay? Not affected, not agree, not right belief. So it's a not. And it's a little bit also a little bit different because it's like going back, but miss is a little bit special because it's not only not, it means wrong, but or wrongly. For example, right? To misinform is to inform people, right? Wrongly, in the incorrect way, right? Wrongly. Misinformation is also information that you received that is incorrect, that is wrong. To misinterpret, right? To misinterpret something is going to be to, right, interpret something in the incorrect way. You have misspelling, mistake, mistrust, misunderstand. This can be used a lot, all right? But we misunderstood the message. It means that you understood the message in an incorrect way. All right, so you have these words as well to use them as negative, but mainly in a bad way, in a wrong way. None. I'm going to read this one. Yes, I'm going to read this for you because it's simple. It means not, okay? It means not, but also it means the lack of something. It means that something is missing. For example, nonconformist, right? Nonconformity, or you have the same but with adjectives, right? Non-restrictive, right? non-stop, without stop, right? That's none. I'm going to skip this one very rapidly because it's not as common and you don't have a lot of options with none. Now, this one is very important. UN, that is an, all right? And in most of the cases, you're going to read like an. This is for you, Whitney. Let's read this one, please.
Okay, and is the most common negative prefix in English. If in doubt, it is the best one to try. And is the negative prefix even for many words from Latin roots.
Thank you very much, Whitney. And we're finishing with this. Let me show you that an is very, very common in English, right? In here, it's in Spanish because they are similar, but an, it's the most common prefix for English. Unable, right? Unaffected, unaltered, unambiguous, right? Unapproachable, right? You have a lot of options. Uncertain, unconventional, right? Unexposed, unhelpful, unnatural, unpleasant, unprofessional, right? Unprofessional. So unwilling. This is also very, very common. So again, I'm finishing with this. The next list is the same, but these are nouns and these are adverbs, right? Uncertainty, unreality, or here you have some adverbs, and you know that in adverbs we work with ly, right? Unambiguously, unconventionally, unnaturally, unpleasantly, unpredictably, and so on and so forth. That's it. All right, then you have the synonyms. We already work with that. The only thing I want you to do now I'm going to ask you specific questions that you may have. If not, as today is the last class, and again, I work with you usually, right? More time. So perhaps we're going to finish before. But first, I want to ask you, right? Before going to your essay, Sharai, Luciana, Melissa, Whitney, Mariana, right? Do you have any questions about this content? Is it clear what's the purpose, right, that I have by showing you all these synonyms, all these words? Let me know if you have any questions, please.
No, teacher.
Okay,
Teacher, I have a
perfect.
question.
Okay, Melissa, let me know, please.
I don't know if you said it before, but I was still thinking, for example, when you asked me about the 4 branches of that institute and I used expressions instead of words like nouns or adjectives, in a scale from 1 to 10, how formal is to use expression in an academic essay and not another word or a synonym?
Actually, if you use expressions that are in detail, like your example, Melissa, is better. You know, formal English is better when it's specific. And when it's something specific, when it's clear that the branches that we're talking about are part of the institute. Because if we say, right, the institute possesses a lot of branches, first, it's not that specific, it's very general. Possess is a formal verb, so it's correct, it's not going to be incorrect. But if instead of that verb, Melissa, you use the expression that you used, is better. Okay, and again, why? Because you are making clear that you're talking about the structure of the institute, all right? And by saying it's composed by, you are giving that detail that it's always needed in formal essays. Okay, so the expression would be better in that case, Melissa, because sometimes expressions can be not clear. Sometimes expressions can be also very unclear, I can say, right? I can use the word, can be very unclear. So if that's the case, then it's better to use the verb. In most of the cases, an expression, Melissa, is the best option, but be sure which one is the more specific. The one that is more specific, the one that is more unique, and the one that conveys the information you want to give in a more particular way, that's the best option. That's the one you need to choose. Okay? If you have any questions or any extra questions, let me know.
No, teacher, that was my only doubt.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for asking, Melissa. And also, again, follow please this rule. And this is something that you can apply. Very short, okay? Give me 1 minute, just 1 minute. It's don't use say, don't use believe, don't use tell, don't use important, don't use these common words. I mentioned that before, right? I'm repeating. Don't use those words in international tests. Don't use those words in academic essays. Instead, use their synonyms. Okay, you know, I already showed you some synonyms for say. Declare, expose, right? State. So why they are better options, right? The reason why they are better options is the following. Because as I was telling Melissa, they are more specific. To say something is very broad, right? It can be said with any emotion. It can be said in formal or in informal ways. So say it's too general. It's not a good word. Instead of say, if you say declare or confirm, right? You are giving more specifications, right, to the way that person is giving that information. So again, I'm going back to the answer that I gave to Melissa. The more specific the verb you use, the better. Sometimes you can say, right, I got a car. It means I bought a car. So it's better if you use I bought a car. Don't use I got a car, because get, it's a general verb. It's not a specific, so it's informal. In academic writing, you have to say I bought or I purchased. That's better. Instead of bought, I purchased a car. All right, so that's what you need to look for, sorry. You need to look for specific words, particular words that are expressing what you want to express in a particular way, and they cannot be confused by other words. When you do that, you are working with academic writing and with a formal writing. But if you use these other words, it can cause some confusion. All right, that's it. That's it. That's everything I have to say. Again, if you want to have, this wasn't more like listening, sorry. You know that we always practice. I like when you work with something, you know that. But in this case, I think it's mainly what I want to transmit so that you have. But again, we learned that because here, I'm going to read this for you again very shortly. Active voice. If you give me one passive voice sentence, then you're only going to have 15, all right? A concrete language, right? Don't be vague. If you say, for example, technology is good because of many things, that is not concrete, right? That is not concrete, that is vague. So you're going to have 15 points. You're not following that. Again, I'm supposing, right? I'm guessing, and I'm saying that you're not following only one. So you have the active voice, you have concrete language, but you're not being concise. You have one long sentence, right? 3-line sentence. Then 15. You have everything, even you're concise, you don't have this one, 15, all right? You're following my logic. So the two things that I want to put emphasis on are this one, no repetitions and no negative sentences. It means that you have to use the synonyms, as I was telling you. Okay, don't use one word more than once. Only if it's a unique word, of course you can use it many times. But if it's a word that has a lot of synonyms, as we were able to see, some words have a lot of synonyms, then use the synonym. And not negative sentences. If I read a sentence, it is not, then you have only 15. If I read another sentence, I do not, then only 15. Even if you're not using contractions, then contractions is going to be okay. You're following that one. But you're not following the negative sentences, all right, tip that we have. So that's it. 1 that is not followed, 15. 2, 10. 3 that are not being followed, 5. And if you have 4 or more of these tips that are not being followed, only 2.5 points. All right, that's it. Again, I think I finished with this. Let me know, please, if you have any specific questions. Remember that we have until tonight, right? Today at 11:59 p.m. to upload your essays. 400 words following these specifications, these criteria. Do you have any questions? I'm going to ask one by one this time, okay? To be sure that everybody is here and to finish the class. So, Sharei, do you have any questions about the essay, about this criteria? Is everything clear? This is like the last class, right? The last group class. Tomorrow we have the conversation, but we're not going to have any other classes than this one in terms of writing. Do you have any questions, Sharei? Let me know, please.
No, teacher, no questions. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. What about you, Luciana? Again, supposing that this is the last class we're having, right? Is everything clear?
Yes, teacher, is everything clear? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. What about you, Melissa? Any questions, observations, comments? Let me know, please.
I think everything is clear, teacher.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And Whitney, with you, what do you say? Any questions, comments? Do you understand everything? Let me know.
Yes, teacher, I have a question about the number 6 point in the criteria of
Okay.
the final essay. About you have to use six last phrasal verbs, and I don't know what does mean. What is the 6 words?
Okay, the 6, which one do you say? Are you talking about the transitional words and phrases?
Yes.
Okay, remember, Whitney, transitional words and phrases are these ones. I'm going to show you, okay, but very quickly. First is a transitional word and phrase. So from this list, remember, in this list, we have these green categories, right? And we have black words. Also, additionally, I'm talking about these, Whitney. If you use, first, you're using additionally one transitional word or phrase. Then you're using, for example, 2 transitional words and phrases. Then you're using similarly or specifically, right? So you have to use 6 at least, okay? This is the minimum. Minimally, all right, you can use or you should use 6 of these black words or phrases that you have. A word is however, a phrase is in contrast. Why? Because a word is only one, right? And a phrase is everything that is composed by 2 or more words. So that's it, Whitney. If you use 6 different of these words or phrases, then you're following that criteria, Whitney. But also you have to remember, it's not only using those words, it's also using these words correctly. For example, if you use however, you know that you can use however only if you have period before however, or only if you have semicolon before however, and you must have a comma after however, right? So if you do that, if you're using however in the right way, and it makes sense because you're showing me contrast and you have 6 different transitional words and phrases from this list, then you have the 20 points that you have over there, Whitney. I don't know if you have any questions related to that.
No, teacher, thank you.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And again, you can interrupt me, all right, anytime. The last one is going to be for you, Mariana. I know that you're having a lot of problems with the internet connection. We were in contact, but I want to be sure perhaps you are there. Can you hear me? Let me know, please. All right, then I think that's going to be it. Sharai, I think you wanted to ask something.
No, teacher, sorry, my microphone activated.
Okay, good. That's it then. All right, let's finish here. Again, we're finishing early this time. We usually spend more time that we are supposed to because, you know, there's a lot of things to check and so on. So please, I'm stopping, all right, sharing my screen. Today we have the final survey, the final poll. So you have 2 extra questions, right? As always, one related to the course and one related to me. All right, so you know, you can always be honest, read that one, answer that. I think you're going to be able to see that in a few seconds. Okay, but that's it. There you go. Please complete or fill out this survey. I'll see you tomorrow for the conversation. And please, that's it. If you have any questions, you can still ask them in the WhatsApp group. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow in the last conversation, please. And also, please don't forget the following. The classes are going to start on Monday, all right? Monday the 9th, if I'm not wrong. Yes, next week, all right? This week, after the conversation, we don't have classes, we don't have conversations. Classes start on Monday the 9th. All right, again, that's it. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.
Sorry,
Thank you,
teacher, I
teacher.
couldn't,
Bye-bye.
I
Bye-bye.
couldn't
Yeah,
listen to well. Tomorrow we have a conversation class.
yes, tomorrow we have a conversation class, Sharai. That's the last one. And with that, we finish everything.
Okay, teacher. Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Perfect. You're welcome. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow. So I see only 3 out of 3 here. Luciana, were you able to see the survey?
What, teacher?
Were you able to see the survey, the poll? Did you answer the
Yes,
questions?
yes. I was answering right now. All the.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you, teacher. See you
Perfect.
tomorrow. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.